For every movie that's memorable in the history of film, there's been memorable wardrobe. In fact, one can just pluck out the wardrobe from famous films and immediately know what the title of the film is and probably who played the role, as we see here with Elizabeth and the outfit that Cate Blanchett wore for the movie. If we start with the most iconic outfit of the early 20th century in silent films, it would have to be Charlie Chaplin as the tramp. He created his own costume, his own wardrobe with the baggy pants, the ill-fitting jacket, the small bowler, and the cane that he twirled with the floppy pointed shoes. The icon of Chaplin is indistinguishable from his wardrobe, and most of the movies he made in this wardrobe that cast him into this incomparable star image it hasn't been forgotten. And in later movies, when he was the tramp, when he did The Great Dictator, and movies after that, he was not as significant a star. So it's interesting. The wardrobe made the man, man made the wardrobe, but he's unforgettable because of his wardrobe. And here we have Marlene Dietrich when the talkies came along, and she had her sexually ambiguous outfit of that bisexual power figure character in this Weimar outfit of the top hat and the swallowtail coat. The opposite of the tramp is the upper class woman in her exploration of power. Unforgettable with Marlene Dietrich. And if we look at The Wizard of Oz, we got Judy Garland, of course, in her outfit that if you separate her from it, we automatically know that's the Wizard of Oz. It's so famous, as are her red shoes that are on display in a case here in some museum. If we look at Vivien Leigh as a Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind in 1939, in one of her many sexual debates with Clark Gable's Rhett Butler, Scarlett's dialogue says, "No, no," but her dress says, "Come here, you great brute." A lot of period research and even more glamour went into this red velvet robe with a scoop neckline and black belt accentuating Leigh's slim waist. The Gone with the Wind costumes were by Walter Plunkett, who took full advantage of the rich tones of the new Technicolor process. This gown has a sultry palette no man could resist. Certainly not Rhett, who carries her over the threshold. Here we have Marlene Dietrich in the late 30s, early 40s, back in a movie called Angel, and this outfit looks glamorous enough in black and white, but if you see it on display in color, it is certainly lavish and fantastic. Here we have Ginger Rogers showing off her dancing attributes in a movie called Lady in the Dark, and the dress looks fantastic enough in this color photo, but if you see it on display, it's even more resplendent, as you can see. Certainly a fantastic bit of wardrobe design for a dancer. Superman and all the subsequent iterations of this character, a Hollywood wardrobe design that's become as famous as Frankenstein's makeup. And even with the dark other side of Superman, it's still got to be modeled on the original as a signifier for that character. In My Fair Lady, we've got Audrey Hepburn, whose character change is demonstrated by the wardrobe. She goes from Eliza Doolittle, the illiterate in her street gear, to Eliza Doolittle, the woman who marries the professor, in her correct English and her correct costume with the unbelievable hat showing her rise up from the gutter. Speaking of gutters, we have a famous shot here. Marilyn Monroe as the girl in the 7-Year Itch in 1955. The billowy skirt of Monroe's white halter dress didn't ride up quite so high in the movie as it did in this famous production still. The scene with Tom Ewell admiring his dream girl's pleasure at a blast of air through the subway grate was originally shot near Grand Central Terminal, then reshot on a soundstage. The 20th Century Fox costume designer William Travilla dressed Monroe in 8 of her movies, but never more memorably than here. Note the high heels. Any Manhattan woman would tell you that you don't go around in those if you don't want to get trapped in the grate. Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961 played Holly Golightly, and she and this designer Hubert de Givenchy, the Paris couturier who dressed her slim figure and framed her gorgeous face in high fashion throughout her movie career, kind of peaked out in Tiffany, set here in New York City. Givenchy poured her into a basic black dress with long black gloves draped with her 5 rows of jewels. It's unforgettable. As you can see here, the jewels being very prominent with the sleeveless dress here. And here we have Tippi Hedren and Birds in her very plain 3-piece outfit that shows the working upper middle class look of the kind of undemonstrative yet expensive clothes of the time. Going the other direction with Taxi Driver, we have Robert De Niro as disaffected Vietnam vet with the mohawk and the clothes, demonstrating his attitude to life and government. Liza Minnelli here as Sally Bowles in Cabaret 1972 has the stark drum of a bisexual ensemble, bowler hat and vest with no shirt, hot pants, garters, stockings, and boots. It's heightened by its blackness against her ultra-white skin and siren red lipstick. To achieve the authentic look of pre-Hitler's Weimar Berlin, the divine decadence, director-choreographer Bob Fosse chose a German production designer and costumer Charlotte Fleming, who had grown up in Weimar, Germany. In Diane Keaton as Annie Hall in 1977, she's in a man's shirt, tie, vest, and khaki chinos. She counts on the femininity of her face and long hair to announce that she still enjoys being feminine, but the costume designer for this Woody Allen Oscar winner was Ruth Morley. However, we believe that Annie's outfit came from Keaton's own wardrobe. Here, Star Wars, the iconic robe, helmet, and doublet, very much like a Renaissance figure, just kind of updated a bit. Olivia Newton-John as Sandy Olsen in Grease, 1978. The sweet little girl at Rydell High busts out of her prudishness into a low-cut top and skin-tight lycra pants with a jeweled buckle. The costumes for this 50s set retro musical were by Albert Wolsky, who won Oscars for All That Jazz and Bugsy. In this photo, Olivia might be a doll who could incite any rumble, but really, you're looking at John Travolta, who will just kick out in Saturday Night Fever later in his iconic 70s flare pants and urban disco dance regalia. Men in Black with Belushi and Aykroyd making a parody of the early 60s CIA, FBI look with the dark glasses and the fedora and the clothes with their spoof musical. And we have Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, dressed as a 30s character with the bomber jacket and the kind of loose pants and the regular look, but still looking quite modern in his getup. Sharon Stone, unforgettable in Basic Instinct, in an outfit was, I'd say, Bauhaus modern, and just like postmodern, where it's all one a very well cut outfit, very expensive looking and yet hugely sexy. Here in the Titanic, we have the outfit of the rich in the Titanic, but we have Kate Winslet as Rose DeWitt, and she kind of has a meeting of the plutocracy and the common folk when she visits Third Class Jack, who's Leonardo DiCaprio, and she kicks off her shoes and kicks up her heels, and the costume designer Deborah Scott came up with a gown that crossed class boundaries, the flare of the orange underskirt, upstaging the dark dress's subtle palette and ornamental work. Here we have the actual Frida Kahlo as photographed against Selma Hayek in costume. You can see the changes, the subtle changes, and yet still maintaining the integrity of the original person. Here we have Keira Knightley as Cecilia Tallis in Atonement, a 2007 movie, and this dress is just amazing. It's this green satin halter gown, gathered and wrapped at the waist and ending a long train, has a rapturous effect both on the young man and James McAvoy, who sees her in it, and in the movie audience. And she was basically designed by Jacqueline Duran, who also clothed Knightley in Pride and Prejudice. Here we have Johnny Depp as Pirates of the Caribbean in his iconic outfit with the big headband. Here we have Sarah Jessica Parker in Sex and the City and her flair. We already talked about her neo-Baroque ballooning flare. And here was Kate Blanchett in Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, the Golden Age, 2007. So she's kind of like part mannequin, part bird, and she lords it over the count in her brocaded brilliance, that early Baroque stuff. Her powdered white face, topped by egret plumes. The costume designer is Alexandra Byrne, who revised all sorts of glamorous ages. Denmark and Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, and Phantom of the Opera, Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera. Here's Nicole Kidman as Satine in Moulin Rouge, 2001. The dancer prostitute Satine lounges on a swing above the crowd. Her circus aerialist bustier is fronted with a bow tie bodice, a top hat that frames her pale face. The design was done by Catherine Martin, who we just talked about. And here we have Black Swan, the design there. Pretty simple, but still stunning enough. And the artist, the wardrobe design for that movie in black and white, still very Art Deco and capturing the 220s. And here we have stars in the grunge look, Scarlett Johansson, everybody standing around, grunging it on in their movie. But all these outfits, like Les Mis here and other outfits, end up in a museum, and we can see that Game of Thrones is going that direction here. This is the survival outfits of Game of Thrones, and then this is the upper class outfits of the Game of Thrones, and then here are the fighting outfits. So all designed in for the movie, just particular to it, but will, if they don't end up in fashion, will end up in a museum, like most movies here. The Flashdance Museum, or the James Bond Museum, or whatever movie you've got prisoners here. They'll have the outfits displayed. Here we have, of course, Lone Ranger recently done with the absurd outfit for Depp, and all these movies will end up with their own little museums and tour, like the Hitchcock Museum here. Even what he wears will be in the museum, just to take us back in time so we can relive that period. So all outfits end up in a glass case in the end, monetizing the movie forever and ever. And if they're not, they're available through catalogs so that you can dress like Marilyn Monroe or Darth Vader. And for our own purposes, for our own horror movies, we get to figure out our own costume, our own wardrobe that exemplifies the character that we want to scare everybody.